Let's go. Did the glove box just open and everything fall out of the glove box? You can scream, it's okay. You just hold your breath, right? The Tesla Model X receives an intensive update or even facelift, and the new Plaid version, the most powerful one. And here was Thomas and Autogefuehl for you in 4K, full screen and full length. That's how you watch our channel. We'll tell you all about it. What you need to know, is this still the benchmark of EV SUVs? Here in the lower part, this part was before black in a separate piece. Now the whole front is basically one piece here in the lower end. So a more aerodynamic and also fluent design. And one of the aerodynamic pieces is also here in the side part, this air curtain. The air is being channeled through, goes in here and really exits then here in the wheel arch. So even better aerodynamics, better efficiency for the Model X, together with new headlamps. 5 meters 04 or 198 inches is the length of the Model X. This has remained the same, but changes here in the side profile. In general, for the update or for the facelift, both also for the Plaid model here. Blacked out frames, so the chrome delete, as they call it. So it looks sportier, more sinister. Also then here the door handles are in black. Wheels here then also in black, and either 20 or 22 inch. These ones here are the bigger 22 inch wheels. So overall a sportier, more present look for this Model X. Interesting also technology wise. So you either get the normal dual motor concept, or in the most powerful Plaid concept, then you have 3 motors in general, because you have 2 at the rear axle, 1 at each wheel, and that enables even better torque vectoring. Overall, more than 1,000 horsepower of power output. We'll also then tell you later more about the acceleration in the driving part. Air suspension is standard, so you also have a more comfortable ride than in the Tesla Model Y, the smaller SUV. As for the rear, usually I'm not a fan of black details, because to me it looks sometimes a little bit over the top. But here for the Tesla models, I think it looks indeed more premium when these details here are blacked out somehow. Because the Model X especially, it doesn't look that sporty overall, but with these black accentuations, I think it fits here very, very well. Are you team black accentuations and black wheels? Tell me in the comments. Or team chrome? Decide for yourself. Top speed here, by the way, for the Plaid model, even a little bit faster overall, here at 260 kilometers an hour or 160 miles an hour. Even for German Autobahn, more than enough. And as for the battery size, it remains at 100 kilowatt hours net. And in the Model X should bring us just an approximate average, like 450 kilometers or 270, 280 miles. So not as far as the Model S, because this one is not as efficient as the Model S. The acceleration figures, around 4 seconds for the normal model, 2.5 seconds for the Plaid model. Yeah, but the thing is, they do it with this rolling start. So in comparison to other manufacturers, these are kind of like, these figures are a little bit nicened up. So it will be a little, a couple of tenths slower than these official figures. But if you use this acceleration, you have to recharge at some point. And here the charging flap is in the rear, 250 kilowatt of charging peak. Here then AC/DC charging, here the supercharger, and supposed to be a little bit less than 30 minutes, then from 10 to 80% state of charge. Doors open here, and you can't really show the door closing sound, because here the electric motor pushes it a little bit open, and you also work against this soft close, so slamming it is not a good idea. So indeed here, this is then the soft close of the doors. Then inside of the doors, new materials here, really good. All soft touch. This is all the whole interior is now animal free as well. And here the fabric inserts, look at that. This looks pretty premium. Also behind it, 22 speakers overall in the vehicle, new premium sound system. This is here how you open the door now, or close it. You've seen it. You can also close it with that, but also with pressing of the brake pedal. And then here, of course, one of the biggest news is this Yoke steering wheel. It is open on the top here. So you have a better view to the digital instruments, but is it also better or worse for handling? We will find out in the driving part. Seats here now perforated once again, and that means also the seat cooling is available. And this perforation here looks cool, it feels really nicely, and this is a very good soft quality, so improve the build quality here as well. And this is another example of how to go animal free, but at the same time high quality and without losing any luxury, more gaining luxury. Seating position, nice upright, very comfortable, and the new seats here, ergonomics, and also the material is really a good plus, definitely way more comfortable than the ones before, so I think a very, very good upgrade indeed. And everything from the controls, most of it is done in the touchscreen, and then for example you can also control the side mirrors from here, or when you want to adjust the steering wheel you have to click it in the menu, and then you can also go like here in and out then with the button on the steering wheel. Also here for this Yoke steering wheel, Tesla Model 3 and Tesla Model Y customers will know how this works. And first impression of the Yoke steering is weirdo a little bit, definitely. It's quite wide also. It feels like, in like a computer game or something. I wonder how it is, when you ease the car in and out of a parking lot. We'll also try that in the driving part later. New interior overview, really impressive. And you see here the screen is now horizontal like in the Model Y or Model 3. Very interesting. At the moment the central view. But however, when you go into display, then you can also tilt it towards the driver, and that way you can really better see that. And when the car is stationary, you can also tilt it towards the passenger actually, when you want to watch something or control something. That's a cool thing, but for you to see it better here in the static part, I leave it then in this center thing. Soon more details to the infotainment system. Here definitely once again the view on the Yoke steering wheel. It is a cool view to the digital instruments, yes. And the good thing about X and S is, in contrast to Model 3 and Model Y, you have digital instruments. And I think it's essential to see that, and not only the speed up there. 2 inductive charging pads are still here, and you now also put the key card there to drive the car right there. And one thing that is really new as well is there is no stall column here whatsoever. Here, by the way, is now the drive mode selector. Slide it forward in the screen, then you can drive forward, slide it backward in the screen, then you drive reverse. However, there's still one alternative. When you press this lower bar here, these buttons appear for parking, reverse, neutral, and D. So you can also use it here in the lower area. To me, I think I would still rather use this. Turning indicators are also on the steering wheel here, with these capacitive buttons, but they give you some kind of feedback, and yeah, I think it's not too bad. And on the right side here for the cruise control, and here also for the voice input, a separate button now. And then here the instruments, they change when you have it in drive, then the speed right here. So pretty clear and crisp, everything I need, and definitely prefer to see the speed while driving. And when you have the navigation set, on the left side you also see a small map. The screen here with the map integration, wow, that's really responsive. Way to go. It's really, really very cool. And then once again here with drive, reverse or park. Here you can also open the doors, for example, or the frunk or the trunk. And in this classic car menu, as you know from Tesla, here you can set your settings here, for example, the Plaid acceleration mode, or also if you want to go for chill, a little bit more drawn back, for example. Lights, here you can also activate the daytime running lights. When we're filming outside, we like to do that. Display, you can also change the brightness. This at the moment the dark mode. There's also the light mode, but for camera filming, it's sometimes just too bright, or you can leave it on auto, then it's automatically adjusted. As for the climate unit, here also you switch between heat and cool. That way I can activate the seat cooling or seat ventilation, and here then the seat heating. Both at the same time, not really possible. Or voice control. Activate seat heating. There we go. And the voice control really works very, very nicely. And this is also direct access to the rear view camera here. They still don't offer Apple CarPlay and Android Auto because they say, hey, our system is the best ever, and then we don't need Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. I don't agree with that. Their system is really cool, offers a lot of possibilities. But I think you should still give the customer a CarPlay connection if customer wants to. By the way, if you see these weird lighting effects in the screen, that is just on camera and not for your real eye. There we see it, but it's really just on camera. You don't see it with your eyes. Lower middle console, still 2 inductive charging pads for your phone. And then this is kind of like a split opening. You slide this one open here, or you can also slide it to half, like this. And then even further, this one open and the cup holders away. And then there's more space underneath. And then under the armrests, just lift it like this and even more space. And here, when I want to get out again, here, press the door and you see here, it almost opens completely. It's a very good comfort feature. And then when I hit the brake, I can close the door. It's a very nice comfort feature indeed. But what happens when someone is standing on the outside? A small kick. And when you close the door here, what about that? Yeah, you feel it, but it doesn't hurt that much. Yes, these Falcon doors are still very spectacular, and you see they also can open in quite narrow spaces, narrower than you think actually. And here with 1.89 meters or 6'2", I can still stand underneath them. So the setup is 5-seater, 6-seater or 7-seater for the Tesla Model X. That has been unchanged. Unless you go here for the most powerful Plaid version, then there's only the 6-seater. And the space behind the driver's seat is actually, put that all in the back, is not that plentiful. So when I'm driving here, you see it does work with the legroom, but it's not too far. Yes, I'm always using a lot of seat space, so it does work for tall adults, but close actually. What about the headroom? So when you come a little bit closer, and you can also come here inside and see here behind this seat, the thing is like there is this glass roof here also, and then you still have enough headroom left. So here, oh, yeah, here it's just a little bit closer. And by the way, if you've seen that I'm a little bit banged up, yeah, actually I had an accident in soccer practice, so I got shot literally, and so I look a little bit that I was, in the fight. So yeah, I began soccer practice now more intensively again since Germany dropped out of the World Cup. I think there need to be some replacement players, right? So, and a good thing here with the 6-seater is you can basically go through here. The kids love it actually. You can install ISOFIX child seats here and here, but then you can basically crouch through here through the next bench. You now also get here this screen in the rear, and there you can, for example, control the vents here, and that looks really fancy. And for this digital solution, it's quite easy to control. So gone are the manual days for the vents. More manufacturers go in this direction indeed to control the vents by that. By the way, this screen will also be used for streaming, so you can also watch them here in the rear while driving. For example, watch some Autogefuehl, of course. There we go. Yay! And hit subscribe if you haven't done so far. And while I'm watching the newest episode here, oh, by the way, here subtitles. We always offer now English subtitles as well to turn off or on, depending on your liking. So if you have problems with hearing, that's of course for you. Or maybe also when you are in a situation where you can't listen to sound, then you also have the subtitles. And in the lower part here, 2 USB-C chargers and cup holders. They fold out in a premium way. Also, have a little bit flexible here. So it's actually a very nice solution. And here in the 3rd seating row, yeah, I can squeeze myself through here. No ISOFIX. And, well, as a tall person, you cannot fit here behind these seats with your legs. But I can squeeze my legs somewhere here in the middle. So at least you can go somewhere. For emergency situations, it works. It's more the case of children that are not that small, that they still need a child seat, but not as tall yet. So something in between, and then you just have this flexibility. The German manufacturers with their EVs quite often do not offer a Frunk. Here, of course, they do. A lot of space then here also in that front trunk means Frunk. And now the trunk. Here we go. And the width here is about 1 meter or 40 inches. That's good. Here a cabin trolley fits in behind the third seating row as well. You press these buttons then here to release them. Head restraints fold, and then you can push them like this. And then you have this normal trunk length, which is to these seats here. It's like 115 in meters or 45 inches. And this is then here a very big hole in the trunk, like really massive space. Then of course also for charging cables and so on. And well, you could move these here a little bit more forward. And the advantage of the through bench is that you can fold it, but in this case then here with the captain seats in the 6-seater setup. Well guys, I want to start this Thomas's driving lounge with the Tesla Model X with the German Autobahn, because this is the Plaid model and we know it from Spaceballs. Just after Ludicrous, there's only Plaid, this grid. And well, when we're getting on the German Autobahn here from 40 kilometers an hour, let's see if we end in a safe way. We have a lot of traffic here today, so we have to wait a little bit behind this one, and let's go. Did the glove box just open and everything fall out of the glove box? You can scream, it's okay. You just hold your breath, right? Did that just happen? Okay, from 80 kilometers an hour, one more time. Holy 140. Oh my gosh. And now from 100 kilometers an hour, let's see if it's still something. And that's 200. Oh my goodness. Oh. You know, I'm used to driving fast cars, but this is getting the adrenaline heating up for me as well. Oh, whew. Yeah, that was something incredible. And I really have to check the time codes for the acceleration in there. That is really something. So it is not something for everyday driving. And yeah, indeed, it is so fast that it's not that safe to do it. Definitely not. So please don't repeat this at home. Yeah, at home, of course not, but you know what I mean. So for everyday driving life, I would rather, I'm even a little bit dizzy now in a way. Wow, that is like here. You can also pick the chill mode, for example, and then when you accelerate, then, you know, the throttle is just a little bit delayed. But however, you can always push it through. Then it's a little bit more still, but even then, you don't get the full acceleration, even when pushing it through. So in chill mode, it's really chilled out, is definitely more relaxed. Sport would be something in between. And Plaid then, oh yeah, I want to raise that 350Z. And Plaid then, of course, with the full performance, full acceleration. But that is something out of this world indeed. Here now, the Yoke steering on the motorway is actually quite good. So that's no problem at all. Also, when you do some lane changes here, for example, then it's fine. And then I'm really positive about it, because it kind of enables me a better view to the front, not only to the instruments, but also here it's unobstructed. So I really like it on the motorway. And as for the reactions here, it's quite direct indeed. And for the lane changes is all fine. I think it's really later on go on depth than on, you know, parking in and out on the parking lot and so on. But here for the motorway, it's actually totally fine. And maybe also one more step towards this autonomous plan that Elon Musk has. And suspension-wise on the motorway, since we have the air suspension here, we have good comfort also, especially this air suspension is working well when you have some waves, you know, that everything is even out. Still, it's set on a more or less sporty tone, that you don't have too much shaking up effect. The thing is with sedans versus SUVs, when you start driving, they always first feel more comfortable here in these SUVs. But then when you drive a little bit longer, this shaking up effect of a higher center of gravity can be a problem. However, since we have the all-EV here, batteries are placed in the lower part, And then the center of gravity is also low, and therefore you also don't have too much difference between SUV driving and sedan driving in electric vehicles. That's definitely a very interesting thing to have. The overview here, by the way, is quite good. Also the view to the sides. Just a small back mirror here has always been a thing with the Model X to the rear view there. It's a little bit limited as for this respect. Cruise control, one click for the normal cruise control, then you just set the speed, and double click, like you had this double click on the store column before, for the autopilot feature. And again, autopilot doesn't mean it's full self-driving yet in a way. However, it has active lane keeping assist right here. You are still supposed to keep your hands on the steering wheel, but you see here it also holds the lane, but never trust 100% in it. And now we are free to go once again for acceleration. Let's see, we maybe go for before this one. Now from 100 kilometers an hour, one more acceleration. You ready? Oh God. 200 kilometers an hour, 125 miles an hour. It's like nothing. It's really like nothing. Yeah, and when this white bomb comes from behind, you better make free way for this one. Wow. It feels kind of futuristic as well to control with the Yoke steering wheel. So it has, to me, not only pros and not only cons, it has both basically. And yeah, this one here, Model X and Model S, especially since you don't have this sound feedback, it is one of these vehicles, because it's so extreme in the acceleration, that it tends to make you a little bit sick, even though when you're the driver. Usually it's just the problem of the passenger. You still okay?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
It's fun?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, so there's a way to impress your passengers. So, yeah, but this car is really, it can make you sick while being a driver. Usually it's just a passenger problem, because the passenger doesn't know when, you start to accelerate, when you start to steer and so on. But here it's so extreme and you don't have that sound feedback, so this can actually happen. But it's a lot of fun. It's great to steer around, really direct. You have to be careful with the steering, because especially at higher speeds, it's not that natural. It's more like an arcade feeling, computer game feeling, fits to the Yoke steering wheel. So then when you're driving fast, there are kind of sudden steering movements, so you have to be really gentle. And also when you want to keep, want to care about your passengers, be also gentle with the throttle and gentle with the brakes and with the recuperation and so on, because otherwise they will get sick a little bit more. So, especially because there's always hard recuperation here with the Teslas. You lift your foot off the throttle, there's significant deceleration. Oh, and there's another Tesla Model X behind us. There you can also see the pre-facelift, pre-update changes. Yeah, you can't see that here at the moment, but there's like this black bar in the lower part. Very good to see that. So thank you for driving behind us, that I can compare it. Wow. Whew, what an adrenaline ride here on the German Autobahn, on the motorway. There's the Tesla Model X, that's our take. Oh, and also with the chrome and so on, there you can once again see the difference. Wow, yeah, a lot of fun here also with the lane changes. Definitely a performance fun mobile. When you drive that fast, really use that acceleration, then of course you're also higher in the energy consumption. Yeah, most of the time probably you won't use it every day, but when you have, or when you need the power, then you always know you always have it more than enough and more than anything other combustion powered here on the road. Well, what about easing this car in and out of the parking lot? So I feel like a real shifting lever is always a more connected experience to the vehicle. So it works here with the screen, but I'm not too happy with it. But it's also not the big problem or something. But here then, when I think that the steering wheel concept here, it could be cooler when it's a little bit smaller, I would say. And then here easing the car in and out of the parking lot, I'm not sure how it looks like on camera, but it kind of feels a little bit weird. Yes, you will get used to it, definitely. And here, for example, the good camera system here, but it doesn't feel that natural when you're going left and right again. So for parking in and out, I would definitely prefer a normal steering wheel that you can, better grab around and so on. That doesn't feel that good. However, when you then start normal driving and so on and do like this and this, then it's actually no problem. Of course, the better view to the screen here is only when you have it straight like this. As soon as you go like this, then it's really, really blocking everything. Kind of a little bit of mixed feelings about this Yoke steering wheel. I would really be interested to hear your opinion from, maybe you have already tried it yourself in your Model S or your Model X, and if not, what do you think from seeing this then here while we steer it around? Is it something that you would fancy, or is it something that what you say like, when it's like this, no, I don't want that at all actually. So then here a little bit of city or street driving. Also with the turning indicators, it takes a little time to get used to that. Here, for example, it doesn't feel that safe while driving, you know what I mean? Yes, when you are in a Formula One car and have this kind of steering wheel, it's cool in a way, but they are also a little bit more progressive then, so maybe more progressiveness would be cooler than here for this steering wheel. Yeah, the turning indicator thing, you get used to that, and visually that everything is reduced with no stall columns and so on. That's actually also a cool thing in a way, but it also reduces once again physical interaction with the car. I do get these new technologies and so on, but for me myself, I'm not sure if it's the same for you, but I like more physical interaction with humans as well as with vehicles. So I like to touch things, I think that's a human thing, so I'm not sure if this kind of like dehumanizing the vehicles, if all of that technology really adds up to an advantage, you know what I mean? By the way, I'm still in this Plaid mode, and when you are gently controlling the throttle, it does work, it's no problem, you can get along with that. However, if you're not on a demo tour with your friends or here showing off in the car review, I would rather recommend to get to the chill driving mode, because then you just drive this car in a more relaxed way. It will also be then a little bit more efficient because you don't hammer the throttle that much. And in the parking lot, for example, everything just will be smoother from the reaction. As for the comfort while city driving, by the way, so I still try to... Where is that? Where is that? Ah, yes, I have to press it. Yeah, that's one thing you will get used to definitely over time. So as for the suspension here, when you have some smaller bumps on the roads and so on, air suspension is definitely good to have it, and it's better than in the Model Y, like 100 times better than in the Model Y where you don't have air suspension. But here with the 22-inch wheels, that's with every brand, when you have these extremely large wheels, you feel these small bumps in the road a little bit more. So for more comfort, I would advise to stick with the small 20-inch wheels. Yes, you lose the visual show effect, but you will gain comfort. And back on the motorway here, the aerodynamic form of the Model X also plays a good role. For example, it's also reasonably silent in here, and they now also use active noise cancellation here in that interior. Really interesting, because I'm usually not a fan of that. In a lot of vehicles so far, it has been a very unnatural experience. So you felt like you have this vacuum next to your ear. Here, it is very, very silent in here, but they haven't integrated in such a strong way that you would have this strong vacuum effect next to your ear. So I think so far it's fine. What about you? Do you think it's okay, or do you feel like any unnatural vacuum feels? So yeah, she also agrees, and yeah, that really brings down the noise level even further. And what about the fuel economy? Of course, always fuel economy. Yeah, that's what we always say. Energy economy then in this case. Always depends, of course. And now I try to go more like cruise control motorway, more steady speeds and so on. then of course you can score some good figures around, some 22 kilowatt hours on 100 kilometers, so some 30 something kilowatt hours on 100 miles. That indeed confirms this earlier estimate of round about 450 kilometers of range, or like 280 miles. So once again, the Model S will come a little bit further. You can also bring this one further if you drive super efficient, have more low speed experience and so on. And of course, if you use this acceleration all the time and high speed, then the range will drop down. Very interesting or important fact is here also, it is quite cold here today and we still score these figures. So first of all, and motorway, so aerodynamics top, and also this new heat pump. Model S and Model X get the heat pump now, and that's why we also don't have a bad effect now here in winter. So this heat pump system reduces the difference between summer and winter range of these electric vehicles. So a very good feature to have. So it's not a new SUV at all here, but with all these updates they have done, I really say I'm impressed. They have stepped up the game and put it really into a modern era here without changing the model like completely, without presenting an all-new model. They've really made very, very good and significant updates. So overall, I think this sets it back to one of the benchmark EV SUVs here in this segment. Of course, the big competitors, the BMW iX, check out that review, or also new the Mercedes EQE SUV.